So what is Reiki and where does it come from? Well, Reiki is divine healing energy that can bring incredible transformation, whether it's used to heal the physical body, to remove emotional pain, to clear limiting beliefs, or simply as a tool for self-love, self-care, and enhanced well-being. Reiki can also be used to bless and protect spaces and objects, to create ceremonial containers energetically. It has many, many uses that are all really amazing. And its origin is actually in Japan in the early 21st century. Around 1920 or so, there was a businessman named Mikao Usui. He was going through a crisis. His businesses had not worked out and things were difficult in his life. And so he decided to go and have a spiritual retreat on a sacred mountain called Mount Kurama. At this time, he was on this 21-day retreat and he was graced with this incredible healing power. The story is that he was sitting under a waterfall and some light came down and sparked something within him and gave him the ability to channel Reiki. But he wasn't aware of this until he was hiking and he stubbed his toe and he grabbed his toe in pain, and all of a sudden he discovered that there was this beautiful, peaceful, gentle energy coming out of his hands that took away the pain. And so he started to explore this ability that he had, and he called it Reiki. Ki is for that energy in itself, that life force energy, sometimes called prana. Ki is what flows through our chakras and our meridian system. And when there are blockages of energy, we experience illness and problems. And when everything is flowing well, we experience positive mood and physical well-being. And he called it Reiki because the term Rei means divine consciousness, universal consciousness, benevolent, loving, universal, all-knowing consciousness. In other words, what's really special and distinct about Reiki as opposed to other forms of energy healing is that Reiki practitioners trust the energy to be intelligent, to know where to go and what to do in order to bring healing. So that is the system of Reiki, and it became developed and refined when, after working with it on himself and others, Mikao Usui brought in a Navy doctor named Hayashi. And Hayashi actually used this technology of Reiki, which Usui initiated him into through a mystical spiritual initiation process called a Reiki attunement. And Hayashi further developed this technology so that it could be used to heal the physical body. And he came up with a system of hand positions that can be used on the physical body, as well as actually specific protocols for how to use Reiki to heal different diseases in people. And he really codified this and took kind of a scientific approach. And then the third really important master teacher in the origin story of Reiki is a woman named Takada. Mrs. Takada, Hawayo Takada, was actually Hawaiian, and she came to Japan for healing, for physical and emotional healing, and she received and experienced that, and she was really blown away. And she brought that back as a teacher to Hawaii, and from there it spread, of course, to the mainland and all over the world. So these three figures in the history of Reiki are responsible for what we now know as this incredible healing force. And Usui, the originator of Reiki, was a student of the mystical arts as well as someone steeped in Buddhism and Taoism. And so these principles are and energies really are woven into the Reiki tradition. There are people out there who will say, oh, Reiki is really an ancient healing energy. And there definitely has been an ancient system of energy healing, but I personally feel like there have been a number of different frequencies and it remains that there are a number of different healing frequencies on the planet that operate differently, that seem to come from another dimension, that are all amazing. I've experienced reconnective healing, pranic healing, Reiki healing, and different types of shamanic healing. And I do think that they are, though subtly different, sometimes distinct and unique frequencies. So I personally kind of hesitate to say that Reiki is necessarily the same as the healing energies used by the ancients. It may be, and it may be distinct. In either case, whether it is or it's not, certainly energy healing is itself an ancient form of wellness and a tool for facilitating miracles. And really what it is and what it does is it's frequency, it's vibrational medicine. It takes the energies in the body, the mind, the spirit, the heart, in the human system, and actually beyond, and it changes the frequency and the vibration of those energies. And so in that way, it removes blockages and it installs positive, healthy energies of peace and love and allows for well-being and blessing. It's a form really of divine intervention. And so it's an awesome, awesome medicine. And it's something that while it flows through a practitioner, tends to bring really powerful, intuitive, profound insights. And sometimes those insights arise spontaneously in the recipient, and sometimes they come through the practitioner as a channel. But it seems to put us in a very relaxed, somewhat altered state, which is really useful for accessing the subconscious mind. And so it can be paired with other forms of alternative healing and wellness, from hypnotherapy to massage to spiritual counseling and life coaching. It's really a neat therapy that can do so much good in so many different ways. And our creativity really is boundless in what we can do with it. I have seen people infuse Reiki into herbs, into crystals, into artwork, into food, and to use it ceremonially. I've used it quite a lot ceremonially in different ways, adding it in with my intention in order to create containers for healing processes in which I work with, for example, Amazonian medicines. So there's a lot of different ways that one can use Reiki. I've also used Reiki on myself a lot to relieve physical pain, which was its initial use. I used to suffer from really intense menstrual cramps, and Reiki, when I would channel it on myself, would actually remove the menstrual cramps and would get rid of the pain for me. I've known a lot of fellow practitioners who've used it to assist them with migraines, who've used it to help children fall asleep, just to relieve anxiety. It's a really awesome self-care tool. And it certainly can help you to support your loved ones and your friends as well. Another thing I really like about Reiki is that it has a system for doing magic, for bringing miraculous blessings and intervention. So, for example, I had a dear friend whose bird was sick, and she asked me if I would send a Reiki blessing to her bird. And I did. I used the symbols that we learn in level 2 and my intention. And those two things together formed an energy blessing, and her bird recovered really quickly. So quickly, in fact, that her vet was surprised and couldn't really explain it. And I've heard that a lot, many times, that Reiki can do some incredible miracles. It can also help with very practical issues like removing obstacles. I've used it to help people who are dealing with just to give you a really very mundane and common example, they were having issues with just dealing with the red tape of bureaucracies, just slow moving bureaucracies that weren't giving them the funds they were owed or promised, or that were just making things difficult for them. I've helped out using these Reiki blessing magical manifesting sentences, as I call them, which again you can learn in level 2, and it actually worked. It brought overnight changes. All of a sudden things shifted. So it's really cool, the things that you can do. It can be used and incorporated into shamanic style healing, where one can go in and actually remove the negative effects of childhood traumas psychologically. There's just so many applications for this tool. It's a really cool thing. And I love too that going through the process of being initiated to channel Reiki, which again are called attunements, actually downloads more of your higher self, your soul energy into your body, and allows you to actually access more of who you really are. So you become more of your true self. You get more in tune with what you love, what brings you joy. You access more of your talents. You can discover oftentimes more of your talents. Your intuition gets stronger, which makes decision making much easier. It makes discernment much easier. It opens up new opportunities and a new world to you. I've been a Reiki master teacher for close to 10 years now, and it's really fun for me to watch what happens to my students who go through this process. I have actually seen people make overnight huge decisions that were amazing and great for them just right after getting an attunement. All of a sudden they had this clarity that really they wanted to live in this other state, or they really did want to be in this relationship, or they really didn't, or this really is their calling, or this other thing really is their calling. Things tend to happen when you become more of who you really are. Things align and doors open, opportunities emerge, and life just flows more easily and better and feels more you. And I love that. So obviously I'm very passionate about Reiki as an incredible medicine, as a tool, and as a blessing really to all who work with it. Whether you choose to work with it in a way where you're really using it as a self-care tool, or you're choosing to turn it into an aspect of your profession and your livelihood, I think it's an amazing asset and a great gift to give yourself.